Hello everybody, it's Paul Neese with the Real Life Health Show. I have another question about inflammatory bowel disease. Now, inflammatory bowel disease is something that I personally suffered from when I was younger, and I understand it very well, and I've helped a lot of people over the years to deal with it. I find it's very emotional, not only physical, because to change somebody's diet, with any disease I ask somebody, okay, there's a quick way and a long way to get better. The natural way is the long way. It's going to be much longer the process to get better, but you will get better. But the other way is the quick way. You can listen to the doctors. You can take their drugs that will have side effects and not take care of the cause, but just take care of the pain immediately or very close to immediately. So which way do you want to take? And understandably so, many times people will say, well, I want to go the quick route. I want to get rid of this pain as soon as possible. And that quick route will lead to a worse condition later on, because that's what the doctors try to do. They try to give a drug to mask the pain but not take care of the cause. Well, when you're trying to take care of diseases, specifically inflammatory bowel disease, it'll be a much longer process if you do it the natural way. Fasting, long-term fasting might be involved. Enema therapy might be involved. And there's other things you can do to get well. But the healing will take a longer time for the pain to go away, but ultimately that's the ultimate cure. Well, let me read the question. The question says, I have seen that you have uploaded many videos about diet and many about inflammatory bowel disease treatment with supplements, but I'd like to know what are the main foods that someone with IBD in a flare-up should avoid. Now, this is an excellent question, and we need to remember, if you're suffering from a flare-up, it's different than if you're not. So if you're suffering from a flare-up, your diet has to be different. And there's a place called Hippocrates Health Institute in West Palm Beach, Florida, for example. It's a world-class health spa where I often recommend people go if they're suffering from illnesses, and they help you learn about eating healthy. They give a great program, a 3-week program, to learn about eating a healthy diet. However, when it comes to something like inflammatory bowel disease, I warn people. I say it's great to relieve stress to go to a place like this. However, one of the reasons you're going to a place like this is you're paying for their wonderful raw food. And people always hear that I got better on a raw food diet from inflammatory bowel disease, so they think that's okay. Well, when you're in an inflammatory situation, I do not think whole raw foods are good for you. I think the best foods to eat when you're in this is soft foods. Now, one of the things I've done and people would suggest is fasting and not eat any food. And sometimes that'll help inflammatory bowel disease. If you do fast, whether it's juice or nothing, sometimes that'll be okay. Sometimes a person might get very malnourished and might need the nutrients or at least the fat from the food. And not necessarily to keep on the weight, which worries so many people, but just to take some food in that's not going to aggravate their condition. And so there's 2 ways you can handle it if you're in an inflammatory stage. I definitely think you need to eat much less, whatever you decide to eat. You need to avoid the whole foods, and that includes salads and whole raw foods. If they're hard foods, like salads can actually make the condition worse. But I would recommend softer foods. So first thing is you could do just juices and blended foods, and that's one way to do it. That's wonderful. But and the raw foods you want to blend. You don't want to blend like a chicken or a fish. No, you want to blend like a raw food salad or something like this. But soft foods like bananas or avocados or coconut meat blended up, these are softer foods that can really help the body and soothe the body and really help the healing. Now there are some other things like if you soak some flax seeds in the gel that makes, you drink that. Aloe vera is another soothing thing. So things that have almost a consistency to it of a fatty consistency or some type of healthy fat in it that's going to help the body digest without hurting the intestinal wall lining by doing something like a salad or something else. So soft foods would be the key. Now, I have no problem with somebody eating steamed vegetables as a soft food. So it's not necessarily raw and you might be missing the enzymes, but I wouldn't recommend cooked vegetables. So, for example, if somebody wanted to eat broccoli, they'd be doing better if they had steamed broccoli versus raw broccoli if they're in an inflammatory stage attack. It's very important that you chew your food very well. It's very important you avoid nuts unless it's an almond milk. I find almond milks to be wonderful for somebody in an inflammatory attack. And clay is one of the best things I have found. There's something called Redmond clay. And taking that 2 or 3 times a day, it's a powder and you mix it with water. You can let it sit overnight, or you can just drink it right away. You put the water in the cup, mix it up, and you drink that. And that is really soothing and healing to people with inflammatory bowel disease. As for the diet again, go as long as you can without any food. If you need some nutrients, just do juicing. If you have to do a little bit more, blend your food. But if you feel you absolutely need to eat something, then it should be a soft food like a banana or an avocado or the coconut meat. For me, I find the almond milk's just wonderful. You need to strain the almonds. You know, you blend them up with the water, then you strain them. I have another video on my website that shows how to make it. And then you could add some things to that and blend that up. And another thing is, if you eat something and you have a bad reaction to it, chances are you should avoid that while you're on this inflammatory stage. So keep that in mind. If you're eating something and it aggravates your condition and makes it worse, then try to avoid it. All right, I hope that was helpful. And enemas can also help the job. And I have a lot more tips about inflammatory bowel disease. And if anyone out there suffering from inflammatory bowel disease, especially an inflammatory stage, you want to be careful with the psychological part of it. One big thing a lot of people get down is, oh, I'm losing too much weight by eating or not eating or in this condition. Well, look, your weight will come back when you're healthier. Don't worry about the weight right now. Right now, worry about getting better. And you definitely need to avoid things. People say, well, do I need to avoid certain foods for the rest of my life? Yes, the things that created the problem. So you want to eat healthy for the rest of your life. Does that mean you can never eat animal products again in the rest of your life? Well, not necessarily. Does that mean you can never eat nuts or hard food? No, not necessarily. Again, when you're in an inflammatory stage, if you're bleeding and you have a lot of mucus in your colon, and you want to be it's very sensitive. It's almost like when somebody sprains their ankle can be swollen and red. You don't want to do jumping jacks at that point. But if you rest your ankle, when your ankle gets better, then you can come back and do jumping rope and jumping jacks and all that. So, but you don't want to do things that sprain the ankle to begin with. So just contact me if you still have more questions about an inflammatory bowel disease. My heart goes out to you. I understand what you're going through. And your family, they might be loving, but they're not going to understand. So try to speak to people who have been successful overcoming it. All right, if you have any other questions about that or anything else, post your questions below the video. Until then, thank you very much. Have a great day and a great raw life.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.